Homestead, how the heck are you today? Hey, today we're going to talk about something that, as soon as I straighten out my camera here, that's what I get for pushing the button before I'm ready, huh? Uh, going to be talking about homesteading. I know, that's a novel topic for a homesteading site, huh? But here's uh, what really got me to thinking. I was listening to Danny over at Deep South Homestead this morning. His porch time was very good. And if you haven't seen it, you need to get on over there, take a look at it. He talks about being uh, caretakers of their land. Okay. And it's, there's nothing you can add to that. Nothing you can add to that. He did a wonderful job on it. And all you can say is amen. Amen, brother. But I have seen in comments, I've seen other sites talk about homesteading. Patero over at Appalachia's Homestead had a pretty good 5 tips about homesteading she'd put up recently. Very good. It's good common sense. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the lifestyle of a homesteader. Now, when I'm talking about a homesteader, I'm talking more the self-sufficient, where you pretty much take care of your needs off of your land. Okay? There's a difference. Many times they call them hobby farms, where both people are working full time, and they have a big garden and a few animals, and so forth. I don't know why they call it a hobby. It's still quite a bit of work, but yeah, I think I'd take up bass fishing. But that's a form of homesteading. Backyard gardens they call now homesteading. But what I'm going to be mainly talking about here is a self-sufficient homestead, where you are trying to make your living and provide for your family off of a homestead. And it's not unicorns, lollipops, and pink clouds, folks. Okay. And I know a lot of sites out there try to make it sound that way. I'm going to tell you the truth. And help you, if you're thinking about this lifestyle, make a solid decision. Because a bad decision, if you're really not prepared for what you're going to face as a homesteader, your simple life, your dream, can suddenly turn into extremely stressful life and a nightmare. Seen it time and time again. And it's sad to watch. Folks, the simple life is not an easy life. It's not like a 9 to 5. It's more like a 5 to 9. And that's on good days. It is, if you have livestock on your place, it can turn into, a 24-hour day. I've been out there in the pasture with a cow giving birth in the wee hours of the morning. It's part of what happens. Even though your dog tired, and the only thing you were thinking about was being in bed by 9 o'clock. Doesn't always work that way. So you're kind of on call 24/7. It is what it is. It is a 365 day out of the year job, where you're going to put in long days. Well, not every day, But you'll find, if you have livestock on your property and or something goes wrong and you got to get involved, and what you deemed was going to be your day off and spend family time and so forth may just not happen. And even if you did plan for the day off, livestock still got to be taken care of. They still got to be fed. They still got to be watered. All these things still have to happen. chickens and so forth all have to be taken care of. These things have to happen, irregardless. When you take on the responsibility of livestock, you take on the responsibility of caring for those animals. So it's never ending. And usually, just usually, unless you have a very experienced neighbor who is willing to stop by and give you a hand, I've heard repeated stories of where folks have had family come by to take care of livestock while they took a road trip or whatever, and it turned out to be a disaster. Okay? It happens. My youngest son's wedding, I missed it. Couldn't go. It was a 3-day trip that would require me being off the farm, and I had a first calf heifer overdue, which could have been a serious problem, because that means that calf had grown longer than it was supposed to, and she, being a first calf heifer, was going to be prone to having a problem to start with. Your kid's wedding, you miss it, because somebody has to stay behind and care for that animal. Simple life? Yeah. Easy life? No. A lot of work. A lot of frustration. I had a friend of mine down here that lost 20 head of cattle from a lightning strike on a tree. That was a big financial setback, folks. He had no control over it. He did everything right. But it happens. You can have a beautiful crop growing out there. Just everything looks like you're going to really have a good year. Strong storm come through, knock everything down, and you're picking up the pieces. You did everything right. Doesn't matter. It still happens. You can have your fields planted and livestock out and so forth, and have a bad storm come through, packing a tornado and tear up your barn, kill some livestock, tear up your fields. You've just lost the whole year. It happens. Okay? Something to keep in mind. So do hardships come with homesteading? You bet. And sometimes they come frequently. Just is the nature of the beast. The question you really have to ask yourself as a potential homesteader: am I strong enough? Am I ornery enough? Am I determined enough? And am I stubborn enough to not let those things sway me a bit from what my goal is? And that is to stand on my own 2 feet and be able to feed and care for my family without anybody else's help. And you really got to do some soul searching for that, folks. It sounds like the easy answer is sure. It's not. And living out here, you see a lot of people come and go. You really do. You hear about from neighbors and so forth, people moving out of the city to the country, and they're here for 2-3 years, and so-and-so's got his place up for sale. He's going back to the city. Because you learn. It's a tough life, and it's hard work, and it is non-stop hard work. And it doesn't care that you're getting older. Okay? The only thing getting older means is you don't move quite as fast, and it takes you longer to get your work done. Which means sometimes longer hours, blah, 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 blah. Got to keep those kind of things in mind. When most people in the suburbs and the cities are talking about retiring, us folks out here, we're talking about living. Doing what we do, be it we're 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. It just keeps coming. There's no such thing as retirement. Okay? Usually retirement comes when you get one of your kids to take over the farm and you move into a smaller house and give them the big farmhouse, and you just, are around for advice. Doesn't always happen that way. I know guys down here in their 80s that still are out raising their cattle and raising pigs and chickens and planting huge gardens, okay, in their 80s. Why? A kid decided he didn't want to be on the farm. So you just do it till you drop. Nothing wrong with that either. Now, I'm sounding awful negative here, but let me explain something to you. There is a beauty and wonder in nature that is you won't find anywhere else. There are miracles that go on out there in these woods and in the fields and so forth that just leave you awed and amazed. You're tending God's garden. It's a wonderful feeling. Does it test you? Sure. Tests you all the time. Do you have what it takes? Is my question. Do you have the strong will, the determination, the guts, and the pure stubbornness of never giving up, never giving in to do this kind of lifestyle? Search your heart. Not something to answer quickly. Could I take watching I work a whole year and everything looks like it's going perfectly and then it all just falls apart in front of me? Do I have what it takes to go, okay, now what? Okay, I need to do this, this, and this, and then prepare for next year. Because if you don't, wrong lifestyle choice, folks. Okay? It will eat you up. It'll eat you up from the inside. Seen a lot of folks who just can't deal with all that. Understand it happens. Another very important part of this lifestyle is both of you. Your spouse has to be on the exact same page and understand it's going to affect him or her the same. They're going to be in it. And they're going to be working hard. And they're going to face those same kind of disappointments. Make sure they understand it's not unicorns, lollipops, and pink clouds. A lot of times out here you get looking around these homestead sites, and even I'm guilty of that. I'm not going to sit and tell you how tough it is all the time. I want you to see the good things. I want you to see the positive things. I want you to know why we do this. But in this one, I'm trying to tell you, think hard, very hard. Do you have what it takes? If you think you're killing yourself in your 9-to-5 job and weekends off, you better think real hard. Because let me tell you something. You're going to look back at one point and go, I really had it made doing that. I can tell you firsthand, when I was living in Las Vegas, I thought I had a tough job. It was a high-stress job. But I made lots of money. I was home every night, done. Okay? When I pulled in, I was done. Grab a shower, flop in front of the TV, get a bite of supper. Life was good. Go lay in the pool if it was hot. Here, it doesn't work that way. Usually when I call it a day, it's actually calling it a night. So understand, it's a tough life. It is truly tough. It's a simple life. Once you get your head around it, get your hands around it, know what you got to do, and get about doing it. Is it a great place for a family to grow up? You bet it is. Okay? You bet it is. Is it tough? You bet. You just got to be tougher. And if you're not have that kind of internal fortitude, think hard. Do you really want to start a new lifestyle just to go back and start another lifestyle? Because it'll chew you up. It will truly chew you up. You got to be strong. And I'm not talking about physically strong, although if you want to be a homesteader, here's my first suggestion. Start working out. Okay? Because most of the folks I've seen come out of the cities, when they get out here and find out just how much they hurt, yeah. So, get in the gym. Get ready. You're going to need every ounce of strength you got. These are things you need to know, folks. This is the reality of it. But like I said, you'll never see wonders like you're going to see in nature. You're never going to feel closer to God than what you do out here. But he's kind of picky who he has tending his gardens. Okay? He's going to test you. He's going to see how bad you want this. And it's just not one test. They just keep coming. He wants to see if you are truly committed. And if you are, that's a great way to live. Sit out at night and listen to the tree frogs and look at the stars. Have a cup of coffee after you had a good supper. And let me tell you something. Food tastes so much better when you grow it yourself, raise it yourself. Nothing like you buy in the stores. Nothing. So there are some perks. You eat better. You're healthier. You learn to enjoy the quiet moments. It's all important. But most of all, if you want to come out and be a mega farmer, and you think the way to grow a crop is to get out and chemically alter the land and so forth, stay home. Please stay home. Because let me tell you something, my friend. We have enough damage being done to Mother Earth. We don't need another person out destroying this planet. Stay in the city. Please. But if you're the kind of person who wants to nurture their land, take care of their land, improve their land, and make a good life for themselves, welcome. Welcome to the fraternity. But you need to understand, it's a lot of work. And it's ongoing. And it's nonstop. All those things. But it'll keep you smiling. Watching the little puppies run around. Seeing a new calf get born. All these things are just great. Homesteading's tough. And it is not for everybody. And a lot of folks get caught up in the fad. And out here on YouTube, where people are going to show you the good stuff. And you can't really blame them. They are wanting you to see the good points of a homestead. But every now and again, we got to stop, back up, and say, there's a lot of good folks. But there's also a lot of rough times, a lot of bad times. And you and your spouse need to be on the same page with dealing with those things. Because if not, let me tell you, when the spouse decides, I've had enough, you're going to make a life change again. So think about these things. Really evaluate these things. Understand these things. And know that it's not easy. And you're going to face some tough times. Prepare. I don't care if you're living in the city, if you're living in the suburb, or if you're living in the country. You have to prepare. Have food in the freezer. Have stocks put up. Be prepared if things should go wrong. Even if that thing that goes wrong is you become sick and can't work. At least your family eats. Okay? These are things to keep in mind. Preparedness is not a hole in the ground, a bunker with food stacked all around you. Preparedness is knowing that your family, if something goes wrong, is taken care of. That's all it is. And that's not, they've deemed it off now to prepping. Back in my grandfather's day, it was just called horse sense. Good common sense. Be prepared for when things go wrong. And if you're not doing that, as the head of household, you're not doing your job. I'll tell you that straight up. Taking care of your family. That comes to priority number one. That doesn't mean go out and buy an arsenal. It doesn't mean go out and buy a half truckload full of ammunition. That means make sure that your family has food, water, clothing, a way to stay warm and dry, all those things. That comes first. Yeah, you probably need to have some personal protection too, because if it ever does go nuts, you're going to need that. But don't make that your first priority. Take care of your family first. That's your first priority. And that is food, water, shelter. Okay? And that doesn't matter where you're at. City, suburbs, or the country. Be prepared if something goes wrong. If that something is nothing more than you get sick and can't work, at least your family has 3 meals a day. Says Rich from Tennessee Homestead. Understand that it's not all unicorns, lollipops, and pink clouds, folks. A lot of times it's thunderstorms, tornadoes, and some bad times. You better be prepared for those things. Okay. Use your head. And I'll try not to give you any more down videos like this. I prefer laughing because, see, that's part of this lifestyle too. If you don't have a sense of humor and can't laugh at yourself a lot of times. Bad lifestyle choice, because let me tell you something. It helps. Love you guys. Appreciate you. And we'll talk to you real soon.